Bo. I'm a palliative care physician here at UCSF, and it's my privilege to host this Day of Remembering. And I welcome you all, us all, to this Day of Remembering on behalf of UCSF, the hospitals and the clinics, my academic division of palliative medicine, um, the education and clinical programs that I work with Mary in the symptom management service, and um, I deeply welcome you all on behalf of myself. We have here on the Zoom family members, children and parents and siblings and partners, um, loved ones, friends, other family, of people cared for at UCSF who have died. We have here on the Zoom UCSF team members, nurses and social workers and chaplains and doctors and staff and administrators, who are really honored to have been entrusted with the care of your loved ones here at UCSF. And we grieve along with you, as well as grieving the losses that we all may have suffered over the course of this last year. I know that celebrations and memorials for those who have died are not easy, but they're important. And I hope it will be meaningful. We are standing on sacred ground for sure. The ground is not smooth, but it is solid. And my deepest respect for all of those who are joining in the Day of Remembering today. My deep thanks as well to all those who are making this celebration and service possible. All those who are speaking, who you'll hear from and reading, singing, playing music, and a particular thanks to Gail Kojimoto, who really is a labor of love, organizes and executes this amazing event for all of us. So thank you, Gail. I encourage each one of us to participate in the next hour as it serves each of us. In your grief, to listen, to speak out loud, to sit in silence, but please all know that you are a part of a large and a caring community of others. And this Day of Remembering gives us all the opportunity to bear witness to each other, even to share our vulnerability. It has been said that grief has to be. Grief has to be. If you love, you will grieve. If you love, you will grieve. And that reminds us that grief is essential. It's an inescapable part of being human. At the same time, grief is painful, both painful and loving, in the sense that grief never ends. Our love for those we have lost continues on forever. But of course, there's no one right way to grieve. Grief is different for each of us. Grief changes over time for each of us. And multiple things that maybe you've heard about or read about or have been suggested to you can help managing the grief. But for many, grief is how loss heals. And I want to invite everyone in their grief and in this community to think about a quote from Henry Ward Beecher. What the heart has once owned and had, it shall never lose. What the heart has once owned and had, it shall never lose. Indeed, grief is how loss heals. May our words, songs, rituals, intention today be a part of how we deeply honor those we love who have died, and how we continue, deepen this process of healing through the losses that we experience. So I wanted to invite my dear friend and colleague Ghazal uh, Rezvani, who is a social worker in the hospital at Moffitt in the palliative care service, who will be our first speaker this afternoon. So Ghazal, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike, for that introduction. Thank you. It is truly an honor to be here with each of you today as we join together to remember and honor the people in our lives who we love and care for who have died. I am grateful and privileged each day here at UCSF to be invited into the stories of our patients, their families, friends, and communities. From the birthday celebrations we have to weddings and the hospital, or even simply witnessing the true devotion that two partners have for one another here. These are pieces of stories from each one that I meet that linger with me. I can remember one afternoon here in the hospital meeting with two children of one of the patients we were seeing here in the hospital with our palliative care team. And the two children, one in elementary school and one in middle school. And they had come into the hospital to visit their mom, who was in her last moments. And they told me that they envisioned her being held up by clouds when she died, soft, fluffy clouds up above. And one of them wondered out loud if they could have a pet pig, to honor their mom because she loved pigs so much. And so, even an 8-year-old who was trying to find a way to celebrate his mom in his grief as she was dying. Each day I am here at Parnassus Hospital as a palliative care social worker. I am also reminded of my grandmother. Her name was Zaringo Shamali. At the age of 63, she was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer on one of her visits from Iran to America. My grandmother was a quiet force. She went back to school in her mid-50s to finish her high school education. She had a deep patience for all those around her. She also spoiled me with her affection, as many grandmothers do. And with her death a year later, I was met with a second experience of grief, my grandfather shortly before, and of witnessing the grief of my mother and my immediate family. And in Iran, as many other cultures as well, there is oftentimes a 40-day mourning period, and close family members wear black to represent their grief and their mourning. Come the 40th day, my mom's friends joined in a celebration of the marking of this period and closing it with bringing her and myself colorful clothing of pinks and reds and colors to represent the sort of a mark of the end of this period, and also the continuation of honoring my grandmother, her mom, in this time. And so, with that, it reminds me of a phrase in Farsi that is often said when someone experiences a death or a loss. In Farsi, it is "Mana az gham khodet sharik bazun," which literally translates to "Please consider me a partner in your time of sorrow." And so, I hope that in this time, as we're here together on this day of remembering, that we can turn to one another as partners, virtually and hopefully also in person, as we grieve and as we honor those we love, and continue to find ways to celebrate them and the lives that they have lived. And so, thank you for being here today, and looking forward to being with you all as you mark a time to celebrate and honor whoever you are thinking about today. Thank you.
Rizal, thank you so much. What a beautiful, beautiful introduction. Next, we have the opportunity to hear a song, Make You Feel My Love. And this is from Tim Ray, who's the UCSF Fire Marshal, and Don Orlando, who's the project manager in UCSF Real Estate and Construction. And a special thanks to Tim and Don, who have been part of this service year after year for so many years. It's really just a deep honor to have them join us and to share their music with us. So thank you, Tim and Don.
Thank you. It's a first for us we're having technical problems with our audio, so we're playing without our instruments because otherwise it's not coming through. So this is a challenge for us, so we'll try our best. When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, I could offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. When evening shadows and the stars appear, there is no one there to dry your tears. I could hold you for 1,000,000 years to make you feel my love. I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I would never do you wrong. I've known it from the moment that we met. No doubt in my mind where you belong. I'd go hungry, I'd go black and blue. I'd go crawling down the avenue. No, there's nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. The storms are raging on the rolling sea and on the highway of regret. The winds of change are blowing wild and free. You ain't seen nothing like me yet. I can make you happy, make your dreams come true. There is nothing that I wouldn't do. Go to the ends of the earth for you to make you feel my love. To make you feel my love. To make you feel my love.
Thank you both. Beautiful. And your voices are absolutely enough, even without the instruments this afternoon. Next, I wanted to turn to Eve Cohen, who is a palliative care nurse, and again, another dear friend and colleague who's going to be sharing a reading. Eve.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm reading a poem called The Grand Quilt by Rosemary Watola Tromer. I don't believe we can stitch together only scraps of beauty, squares of light. I don't believe in a quilt that doesn't also have patches of sorrow, blocks of ache. Such pieces are, of course, much harder to want to stitch in, but it matters that we don't exclude them. It matters that we don't pretend they do not exist. It matters that we sew every piece into the grand cloth. Now I know it matters how we sew these pieces in, perhaps using our finest silk thread, perhaps with an elaborate stitch our grandmothers taught us, or perhaps we must use a stitch we make up because no one ever taught us how to do this most difficult task, to meet what at first seems unwanted and to incorporate it into the whole, knowing everything depends on this.
Eve, thank you so much. Beautiful concept about the grand cloth, indeed. Next, I really have the special privilege of introducing Cheryl Warren. Cheryl is the sister of a patient who died at UCSF, her brother Steve Rex Chota. And again, I really feel so honored to have Cheryl participate with us at this event and to be sharing with us a deep, deep part of her experience, her life, and Steve's as well. So thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank you all for having me today as we come together to honor the memories of our loved ones. I wanted to start off with a poem as well that was given to me during a recent loss, and I found it deeply comforting, and I hope that it'll comfort you all as well. It's by Henry Scott Hollander, and it's called Death is Nothing at All. Okay, death is nothing at all. It does not count. I have only slipped away into the next room. Nothing has happened. Everything remains exactly as it was. I am, and you, I am I, and you are you. And the old life that we lived so fondly together is untouched, unchanged. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak of me in the easy way in which you used to. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes that we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without effort, without the ghost of a shadow upon it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolute and unbroken continuity. What is this death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of my mind because why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you, for an interval, somewhere very near, just round the corner. All is well, nothing is hurt, nothing is lost. One brief moment, and all will be as it was before. How we shall laugh at the trouble of parting when we meet again. I'd like to take a moment to share about my brother Steve. In his final months and days, Steve was surrounded by an extraordinary team at UCSF Hospital and by the Bay Hospice. They didn't just provide medical care, they enveloped us in warmth and compassion, truly becoming a part of our family. I want to express my deepest gratitude to Elizabeth, Enver, Reba, Javier, and Laura. Your unwavering dedication and kindness touched our hearts profoundly, and the support that you extended, even after Steve's passing, has been a great comfort to us. I know Steve captivated and entertained you all with his stories, sometimes for longer than you had time for, but you still were patient and gave him all the time he needed before rushing on to your next patient. Steve was the most protective and devoted brother anyone could ask for. His quick wit and boyish charm captivated everyone he met. He had an incredible curiosity and could tell the most fascinating stories about his life, our lives, and our parents' lives. Fluent in English and Swahili, and just enough Russian to keep him out of trouble, he had a way of connecting with people from all walks of life. Losing our father in a car wreck when Steve was only 12 years old left a deep and lasting pain. Despite this, he found ways to bring laughter and joy wherever he went. Steve passed away on June 29, 2023. exactly 39 years to the day after our father's death. This poignant coincidence is a testament to the deep bond that they shared. Steve had an extraordinary sense of style, and he always took pride in his appearance. He loved good clothes and exuded confidence. He would strike up interesting conversations with anyone, whether it was the CEO of Google, the mayor, or the governor. His charm and his charisma were truly remarkable. He also had a special place in his heart for his two black cats, whom he affectionately called Cat 1 and Cat 2. They were his closest companions, and he adored them deeply. Steve had so much life in him, and he was not ready to let go. He was a person who lived his true essence, and he made an indelible impact on everyone who knew him. His presence brought joy, and the absence leaves a void that will never be filled. Thank you for allowing me to share a little bit today about Steve. Your presence here and the memories we share are a testament to the love and connection we all hold dear.
And you, Cheryl, thank you so much for your words for the poem. Thank you for the invitation to become a part of your family, to be part of that experience with your family. It really is an honor. And I think that people who work at UCSF understand that it is a privilege to be part of something so beautiful and warm as the love of a family. So thank you, Cheryl. I wanted to invite Tim and Dawn back for another song, this one entitled Keep Me in Your Heart.
Shadows are falling and I'm running out of breath. Keep me in your heart for a while. If I leave you, it doesn't mean I love you any less. Keep me in your heart for a while. When you get up in the morning and you see that crazy sun, keep me in your heart for a while. There's a train leaving nightly called when all is said and done. Keep me in your heart for a while. Shy la 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 la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Shy la 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 la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sometimes when you're doing simple things around the house, maybe you'll think of me and smile. You know I'm tied to you like the buttons on your blouse. Keep me in your heart for a while. Hold me in your thoughts. Take me to your dreams. Touch me as I fall into view. When the winter comes, keep the fires lit, and I will be right next to you. Engine drivers headed north to Pleasant Street. Keep me in your heart for a while. These wheels keep turning, but they're running out of steam. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha la 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 la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sha la 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 la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Keep me in your heart for a while. Keep me in your heart for a while.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Dawn. I want to introduce our next speaker, Danny Shalmas, who's a palliative care physician, who's going to be offering a poetry reading. Yeah.
Thank you. So this is a poem entitled Epitaph by Merritt Malloy. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not your mind. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away.
Thank you so much, Danny. Yeah. So at this point in the ceremony, I wanted to introduce the wonderful Reverend June Cole, who works at Mission Bay as a chaplain, to lead us through a candle lighting and then the scrolling of names, which she's going to explain. And playing in the background of this will be Patrice Hahn, who is a harper and a beautiful musician to folks living and dying both. So, June, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we do the candle lighting ritual, I'm actually holding a candle here. And I invite you, those who are attending this remembering time, that if you have a candle where you're at, I invite you to light it in honor and in remembrance of your loved ones. But if you don't have a candle, may this candle be a symbol for us to know that there are glimpses, may we find glimpses of light of hope and comfort and peace and even love as we continue to honor and remember our loved ones. And so as we do the candle lighting service, we will be scrolling the names of loved ones on the screen. And we also invite you to add your loved ones' names in the chat if you wish. And you can also elongate the chat window to see the names being added. And we will do this ritual as Patrice will play music for us. Thank you, Patrice, for that beautiful music you shared with us. Please join me now in our litany of remembrance. And I invite you to read with me this litany responsibly. I will read the words in white, and you will say the words in blue. In the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them.
Thank you, June. Thank you, Patrice, for the beautiful music, and thank you all for submitting those beautiful photos, remembrances for the names and the memories in the chat. And feel free to continue posting in the chat for all to see. And we're on Zoom, but hopefully feeling close enough to each other that we can feel the warmth of this community. We're coming to the close of our ceremony and celebration this afternoon. I wanted to really offer my wish that today's brief service really can be a source of hope, that everyone here can feel the strength of this community, and for all of us that grief be a part of how we begin our healing. And a commitment that I know UCSF and all the people I work with offer, which is to do our lives, to live the rest of our lives in honor of those we've lost. And I want to thank everybody, all of you, for your attendance and presence. And I wanted to thank all of our speakers and musicians and singers. I wanted to offer a special thanks to Cheryl for being so generous with her spirit this afternoon, and of course to thank Gail in particular for helping create a space for all of us to be here together. So this is the conclusion of our prepared remarks. I want to invite everybody to stay on for the next few minutes and listen to some closing music from Patrice. And again, I thank you all for your bravery in joining today, and for the gift of your presence and attention and memory, to offer all of us hope, gratitude, and a sense of the blessings that we do have. Thank you.